Mr. Joel Dawson.
Here I am, folks. We're almost at the end. We're almost there. We got a little more to cover. Where's the doohickey thingy? Oh, here's my doohickey thingy. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay in the back? Katie, you still got me in the back? Okay. Take these off so I can see. Now, first I want to say I haven't made the decision yet as to whether I'm going to get another DTM or not. That has nothing to do with what we're about to go over right here. This has everything to do with the new member orientation. How many people have ever wondered, well, or have ever said, how do I get people to sign up for roles? How many has ever said that? Okay, I'm going to answer that. What's that? Oh. How many people have ever had the challenge of, well, you know, people come in, or they come for a while, come for meetings, and then they never come back? We've done that. Okay. What's that? Almost half? Okay, those are not problems. Those are a result of something else. And normally when it's new people, meaning, like I said, you get ready to renew, and all of those new members from all the open houses you just had, they don't come back. That points to the new member orientation and the mentoring. It's been that way. That's what it is. If you look at the best practices on the back of the Moments of Truth, it'll tell you that. It's always been that. So why don't people do it? If you know that this is the answer for the problem, all you have to do is do it. So you nip it in the bud. How are we going to do that? We're going to use the Pathways tutorial system to basically automate this whole process. Before Pathways came out, I would be sitting there on Sunday from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock mentoring, one behind the other, behind the other, behind the other. This system takes care of that. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, man, this thing is slick. This thing is really slick, man. It's slicker than... Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll use that one, Katie, the grease on a pig thing. But what it does, and I want you to keep this separate from whatever your path is. Keep it totally separate from that, the past, all that kind of stuff. And only focus on the tutorial system. For example, how many people have taken the assessment and actually went through the tutorial system? Okay. Well, one of the things that I wanted to just kind of let you guys know is that if you look at the Toastmasters website, that web page, the whole thing is designed to sell. It's designed to recruit. That's what it's for. You see all the happy smiling faces that you see? You see that in every page you go to. Find a club. How to find a club. Find a club near you. It's designed to sell. And it tells you about the Pathways program, right? There's a lot of information there about Pathways. So this should not be a mystery, because when people start coming in the future, they're going to know all about Pathways. Why? Because it's right there on the website. If somebody wanted to do, like most people do, the logical thing is if they're going to join Toastmasters or some other organization, they're going to do what first? Exactly. And what does Toastmasters already has out there? Pathways. So you really want to learn this, because you don't want somebody to come in and say, oh yeah, I already know about Pathways. Yep, you got 5 paths, blah, 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 and you're still struggling with it. And you're not struggling with it, it's just that you have to go through the system to learn it. They have a tutorial system that's designed to teach. I'm not a teacher. Do we have any teachers in here? Jay's a teacher. Okay, you're a teacher. You're a teacher. Okay, Jay, what grade do you teach?
All grades.
All grades. Okay. I was looking for Bernadette, but she left. Bernadette teaches 2nd grade. Bernadette has a master's degree. Okay? To teach 2nd grade. Do you need a master's degree to teach kids their ABCs? No. So obviously there's more to it. That system is designed to teach better than we can. Because when it comes to teaching somebody ABCs, it's look, it's A, it's B, it's C. There's a lot of different angles, a lot of different components with that. Okay, not only just learn your EBCs, you have to exercise, you have drills and stuff like that. Pathways takes care of that for you. Okay, but this is not something that you can just turn loose and say, okay, go do it, because most of us haven't done it. But we have to. We have to. We've all seen this, right? Does anybody really know the difference between these two?
Nice chair. Nice chair.
Okay. You cannot be here and here at the same time. You cannot be here and here at the same time. If you're only focused, now there is a difference between supervision, management, and leadership. Toastmasters teaches both. There's a lot of management tutorials, a lot of management education, speeches by management, those type of things. When it comes to the actual leadership at the district level, club level, and those type of levels, it's this one. If you're saying, how do I get somebody to do this? How do I get somebody to do that? That's not leadership. When you start, and the reason I say that, because I hear a lot of people, let's have open house. We bring 10 people in. We all get excited. We got 10 people in. If you had to train 10 people by yourself, would you be that excited about it? A leader would. Because anytime you sign someone up, you have a responsibility. Did you know that? Do you know where it's at? Let's take a look. Because you know I'm going to do it to you. Okay. We all know what this is, right? The Toastmasters promise. We know it like the back of our hand because we show it to that new member and we say, look, you got to do this. You got to do this because I got this. You signed it. You said you're going to do this, right? Did you ever look what's right across from in the other column? This is what it says. Verification of officer. The second paragraph reads, by my signature, I certify that the individual has joined the Toastmasters Club listed above. As a club, we will ensure that this member is properly orientated and mentored. Did you know that? And then the club officer signs it. That simply means that even though they have a promise, so do we. And that promise is simply we're going to show them how this thing works, and we're going to help them along the way, and not just turn them loose. So if you don't understand this and don't realize this, the result of people just coming in, kind of taking a look around, and then leaving, it's because they didn't get this.
Joelle, in our club, when we induct a new member into the club, one of the things that we do is we get them to read a promise, which is kind of a condensed of the Toastmasters program. After they've made their promise to the club, all of the club members stand and we make a promise to the members.
Beautiful.
Basically that we will support them, encourage them, that sort of thing. We will make sure that they're able to be successful. And every club member stands and makes that promise to the new member.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for that one. Okay, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and automate this whole thing. As I said, I was so happy. No more of these long days sitting in Starbucks all day going from one right behind the other, right behind the other, right behind the other. Now, it can totally be automated. Totally be automated. And it starts with what's called a new member welcome letter. How many people's on Free Toast Host? Everybody should be raising their hand. Okay. When you enter the new members' information, you have the option of sending them a welcome letter that basically says, hi, welcome, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. What I did was I wanted to direct them because I firmly believe that within the next few years, free toast host is going to be a thing in the past. I firmly believe that. I think everything is going to be done either through Basecamp or in some affiliation like that to bring everything nice, neat together, because that way they're going to keep it all in one package. Okay, but the new member welcome letter for me kind of starts this whole process. Okay, so what's on the new member welcome letter? There's a couple of things that I want to accomplish with it, which means that we send it out to every single new member. First thing we want them to do is go to our free Toast Host site, create a profile, all that kind of stuff, because that helps with the recruiting, because it's a logical progression. People are going to do what? They're going to Google it. And if sooner or later, because it's so obvious everywhere, they're going to say, let me see if there's a club around me. And it's going to bring up to your website. This is how you get these people to just kind of walk into your club. You don't know where they came from, right? I call those give-me's. They just walked in. They already done their research. They found what time your club starts. The meeting starts. They know where it's at and all this kind of stuff. That came from the website. That came from the website. They did a logical progression. So the more people that they have on there, they may say, hey, I know him. Oh, I know her. Okay, so we get them to make a profile on that. Make sure that they can log on to the TI website. This is the instructions, their homework, basically a to-do list on the new member welcome letter. Okay, which means that the VPM should put that application in that night or no later than the next day and send that letter out. Let's just say, we're going to say we meet on Tuesday. Okay, so Wednesday, they should be already, the application should be submitted, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that they can log on. Okay, what it's going to do then, it's going to tell them to take the assessment. Okay, now here's something that's not so good for us. Even though we're relatively new in Pathways, just started, May 15th? As of July 1st to now, we've taken a lot of dues, enrolled a lot of new people. We've had open houses, we've got people there. Half of those people have not even taken the assessment yet, which means that they are not getting their money's worth. So if you do this, that's going to totally eliminate that problem. Because and of course you're going to be following up. Every single person will have taken the assessment and go through the tutorial system, which is slick, I'm telling you. Anybody can do it. It's about 2 hours of tutorial videos, little snippets, but it's designed to teach. A lot of times when people say, oh, this is kind of, it's not user friendly. Yes, it is. There's a blue button that says take tour. That's all you got to do. Hit it. And that's how you do it. And it's going to also give them instructions for that meeting that they're about to have with their VPE and or their mentor. Okay? So when they get that list, they know there's some things that they're going to do. Now, one of the things that we talked about is they don't have that preconceived notion that this is not how we do things, or they're going to go right down that list because this is what they want to do. Okay? Now, the VPE and or the mentor on this side, they have to do the exact same thing because they have a meeting coming up. The best time for me, and what I've seen that works, is to set a meeting as soon as they join. As soon that night. Not to meet with them that night, but set a meeting that night. It may be the following week, but you want it to be before the next club meeting. One of the things that we talked about is the difference in that picture. This is the part that you can't rush. It's going to hit hyperdrive in a little bit. You'll be able to mentor, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people at one time. This is the part you have to take your time on. This part right here. Okay? So you set up a meeting outside of Toastmasters. Because anybody tell me why? If you're in Toastmasters, you ask a Toastmasters question, you're going to get a Toastmasters answer. If you ask them why they're in Toastmasters, they're going to tell you what? To learn leadership and communication skills. That's what we're going to tell you. And we're going to cover that in a little bit. Okay? Assign a mentor if they have one that's available. One of the easiest things to do in this whole process is to get an email address wrong, because it happens so much. That's why you want to call them after a couple of days. Let's just say if they join on Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, give them a call and see if they had any problem. The login process is pretty simple, but you want to make sure that nothing would have filed. I was doing the exact same thing in New Orleans about 2 months ago for 234. They had some of their officers there. They had like 2 or 3 new members there. He's just there just to, just to be there, I guess. So I said, why don't you guys go ahead and log on? He couldn't log on. Brand new member, couldn't log on. Now, how long had he been in Toastmasters and not been able to log on? Nobody figured that out. When you had this meeting with these people, as soon as they join, you figure these things out and you get them worked out, because this is something that it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And so make sure that if they can't log on, right in there when you call them before the meeting, get it taken care of. Because as I said, chances are it's just an email address. It's just an email address. Okay. Now, the first meeting. Are we good so far? Yes. We're good. Okay. When you meet with that new member, it's up to you how long you meet with them. It's totally up to you, whether it's a half hour, hour and a half, or anything like that. There's only, the most important thing that you can do at that meeting, there's a lot of things that you want to do, but there's one thing that's really crucial that you have to do in that meeting. You have to get the answer to one question. Richard, what is that?
Why did you join Toastmasters?
Why are you here? If you do not get this, you have nothing. And what I mean by you have nothing, remember that revolving door. That's what's going to happen, that revolving door. And a lot of times, you have to help them with that. They're going to say, yeah, I want to learn leadership and communication skill. Why do you want that? Okay? I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people in Toastmasters through various things that I've done. And somebody that I met who has a real special place in my heart that I really, really admire is the 2015 world champion, Muhammad Khatani. Just to give you a little bit about, a little information about his story, and just found this out when we were talking, because he was one of the world champion in our coaching series that I did a couple of years ago. Muhammad Khatani, even though he's a world champion, he didn't learn to speak until he was 5 years old, because he stuttered severely. As an adult, at his first Toastmaster meeting, he says that the guy had to basically drag him in. He's not lying. The guy had him hooked like this, and he said, no, look, you're coming in with me. And he was right. He said, no, please, don't make me. He said, don't make me. But he did go. He went and he joined. Muhammad Khatani did not join Toastmasters to win the world championship. That was an opportunity for him to become a better speaker. But you know what his why was? His really why he really invested in that? He invested in the Toastmasters not because of speaking. He invested in the Toastmasters so people can stop making fun of him. He can stop being ridiculed. That's why he did it. That's his why. So when you're having this conversation about why are you here, when they give you an emotional response, then you got him. Because what happens is, see, he invested in a program to fix the problem that he had. Toastmasters was the solution for him being made fun of. It had nothing to do with winning a world championship. It had nothing to do with being a better communicator. It had everything to do with him not being teased anymore. And when they look at it from that perspective, knowing that this is the answer for that, you don't have to worry about them showing up. You don't have to worry about them speaking. If they're not going to be there, oh, they're going to call you. They're going to let you know. Because see, whatever they can see it. They can see the end result. And the end result, what will my life be like if I can just go around like normal people and not be teased? What will my life be like where I can sit down and have a normal conversation and not be, not feel humiliated? I have people snickering. That was worth its weight in gold for him. Every single person that comes into Toastmasters has that same why. There is an emotional reason, and a lot of times they hadn't articulated yet. One of the things that I mentioned earlier, same thing. This conversation is a special conversation. If you want me to teach you how to do it, I'll be glad to. Go to the website, schedule a session, and we'll get it on. But this is the part that you cannot rush. You really have to find out why they're here. Once you find that out, okay, great. What's your time commitment? You notice I didn't say how bad do you want it, or on a scale from 1 to 10, because you can't measure that. The one thing that Katie talked about was the DCP. Those are key performance indicators. You can measure time. You can't measure on a scale from 1 to 10. My scale from 1 to 10 may be different from someone else's. Okay? What's your time commitment to help you get over this stuttering problem? What's the time commitment? And see, I'm not really even mentioning Toastmasters, because that's just a practice field. That's what Balraj called it, our former president. It's a practice field. It's a laboratory to try things out. So he gives me 4 hours a week. It doesn't matter. It's his, not mine. It's his commitment. So if he can commit to 4 hours or whatever it is, we're not the second grade teacher with the ruler saying, did you do this? Did you do that? Because you have to remember, our goal in all of this is to create a supportive and positive learning experience, right? The reason that's so important, because these people are coming in just like him, and they're vulnerable. They have to be in a place where they feel safe. If they don't feel safe and something goes awry, you know what you're going to hear? I got busy at work. I got busy with my family. And every single person is going to say, okay. If nothing else, you want to create an environment to where they feel safe to tell you the truth. And the only way that's going to happen is if they know that you have their best interest. And we do. We really do. So now that I know exactly why they're here, I know what their time commitment is, it's time to set the expectation. Okay? Now the expectation is based off of what they said that they were going to do. We all have it. We don't assign to say, okay, well, this is what you got to do, or that's what you got to do. No, it's right there. They told you what they want help with. And if that's a really good environment, which it is, and they know that you're going to help them, they'll be willing to do whatever it takes to be able to take care of that problem. But the one thing I do tell them is this. Richard has heard me say it. Anybody that's ever seen me do this, what am I going to tell them after that? You do know you have to speak, right? And I look at them just like that. Why do I do that? Can anybody tell me, why do I do that? So they don't just come in. Now, Toastmasters is self-paced, it is. But I want them to understand that whatever it is that they just invested in, let's get to work. That's what the expectation is, that we're going to work on this together. So this is going to prevent them from just coming, sitting at the meeting, and just being there. They have to understand that they have to get started. And a lot of times that's tough. But it's okay. As long as the expectation is set. Now, when I say that, do they have to schedule a speech this week? No. Do they have to do it the next week? No. The third week? No. But you do have to make a decision when you're going to start. You do have to do that. Okay? So when it comes to that first meeting, those are the three things that you definitely, if you don't do anything else. Number one, the first one is to help them articulate why they're here. And what does that actually mean to them? Okay? That's what they really need to figure out. People care about things that they give meaning to. Those are the things that they're going to work for. So if you do nothing else, you got to find out why. But Grant on the big scale, those three things right there. Determine what their why is, okay? Get their time commitment, and you set the standard. Any questions? Going around? Okay. Now, with that in mind, we're getting ready to walk into the meeting. You did have a question? Oh, you just waving at me? Hey, girl, how you doing? Okay, so we're getting ready to walk into the meeting. Now, remember, this is not the hyperspeed part yet. This is the people part. This is where all of the skills that you've learned, this is where this comes into play. We're getting ready to walk into that meeting. Okay? Before, if you're a mentor and you haven't met that, you should have met that person. The VP should be with you. But when you walk in there, know this, that you're at a crossroads. And what I mean by crossroads is they received a new member welcome letter. They gave them a list of things to do. Don't automatically assume that they've done them all. Don't. Because this is where the coaching, the mentoring starts. Okay? You have to understand either they did it or they didn't. And I know that sounds like a no-brainer. I know that. But your mindset going in has to be that. Because some people will have done it. Some people will not have done it. Some people will have some of it done. But I'm saying it because you have to walk in knowing that, okay, this is where the coaching starts. This is where the leading starts. Right here. Okay? So you're going to always be either championing or coaching. Or coaching, mentoring, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it coaching. Either or. I was talking to, well, Brandon's not here right now. He said, well, I got this one club that they're doing really, really well. I don't have to do anything with them. I said, yes, you do. You have to champion them. We talked about recognition, right? This is how you set people up for early success. These little tasks like this, you have to be looking for ways and reasons to recognize them. If you do that, and this is why, if you always champion good behavior, it's a lot easier to correct bad behavior. See, you can't just always want to correct the bad behavior. Championing or coaching. Leadership excellence. Mentor as a coach. How do you do that? We talked about some of them earlier. Public badges. We're in Pathways right now. Things are getting ready to speed up. Okay? Pathways is very simple. It's very simple. We're going to get to that later. But you can send badges. Recognize during the business section of your meeting. When is the business section? That's that section right before the meeting starts where the president tells you that your dues are coming due. Mr. Johnson? When he tells you that, those announcements, and also Toastmaster wears many hats, it's also where sponsors and mentees are recognized. Always find something. Always find something to cheer them about. Always. Because as I said before, the more you do that, the more they're going to, we're just like kids. We're like gold stars and lollipops too. Right? We do. So the more you champion their actions, not the results. I'm going to tell you a pretty horrific story, and this happened to be true. You champion their actions, not the result. Okay? Newsletter. We all have newsletters, right? Whatever they do, they achieve this award. Put them in a newsletter. According to Motivating People, Leadership Excellence, again, that's 5 ways to motivate people, right? Can anybody name them? Praise. Recognition. Money.
Fear.
Huh?
Fear.
Yeah. That's the guy at the top. We're only dealing with the guy at the bottom, not the boss. Because this is one thing you have to keep in mind. The reason that those strategies work like he talked about, because there's a consequence. There's no consequence in Toastmasters, and we all know that. We tried the fear part. Remember, we tried to scare them and they left. They never came back. So who wins? You showed them, right? Right. Money, praise, public recognition, more job responsibility. Yeah, I know. And promotion. Promotion. Y'all know where I'm going with that, right? Okay. Those are ways that you can champion, but you have to consistently champion the action, not the result. This happened to me early in my career, and it just happened recently in our club. Had a guy come in, and not necessarily afraid of speaking, gave a couple of speeches, and the members, wow, evaluations, which we're going to talk about. It has nothing to do with this, but I got to get it out. Such a great job. You're doing such a great job. You're doing such a great job. They were championing the result instead of the action, the actual activity. And they kept doing it. Kept doing it. Kept doing it. Okay? Well, renewals came around. Guess who didn't renew? He didn't. You know why? Because if you have, as Toastmasters, you've been in this for years, I just walked in and you're telling me that I'm good, that good? I don't need it anymore. And that's exactly what happened. That does happen. So you champion the activity that they're doing, not the result. So what should have been championed was the fact that he was dedicated to his craft. He was dedicated to doing the work. And he was championed for doing the work. If you do it that way, then he'll continue. Versus say, hey, I don't need this anymore. I'm good. Look at them. Okay. Or you're coaching them. Now, when it comes to coaching, there's a couple of things that you have to ask yourself. One of them is not why. Or them, why. If they come in to this meeting, there are certain things that they haven't done. Okay, these are questions that you ask yourself. This comes from the leadership excellence as well. Okay, question number one, was it in their control? I think it was maybe a year ago, three TLIs ago, maybe last January, we had a member who we hadn't seen in a long time. Her house got flooded. Was that in her control? And at that time, she was basically homeless. I wouldn't expect her to do that. Was it in their control? Okay. Did they fully understand the task at hand? So if you look at that new member welcome, is there something that, now here's the thing, you can't make that judgment. If they didn't do it, because remember, if a person doesn't know what to do, they won't do anything at all. They won't. Okay? And there's 5 times, one of the things that I teach, there's 5 times when the people will tell you yes, when they really mean no. This is one of them. If they don't fully understand it, they won't do anything. So one of the questions that you have to ask yourself, however you structure your new member welcome letters, to say, okay, did they fully understand everything that was supposed to have been done? Okay? Cops again. Did they have all of the resources? Were they able to log on to the website? Were they able to find it? And this is just not for the new member orientation process. Honestly, this is anytime you give somebody a task, even your kids. Go wash them dishes. Okay, they're going to walk in that kitchen. Some of them are going to do it, some of them not going to do it. And what happened? We just assumed that they didn't. Like, did I tell you to wash them dishes? You're still sitting on it. Well, you should expect you were going to sit down and watch the rest of the game anyway. All right? So this is with anything. Okay? Let's see. And the last one is, did it fit their time frame? Now, going in, we don't know, right? Because this is the first meeting. But I'm letting you know these are some of the things that when you start giving them tasks and it comes to different objectives, the main reason is, the main thing that you should not be focused on is the result. And why is the result not achieved? If the result is not achieved, me personally, I never, ever in my business, I never ask why. If you ask them why, you're going to force them to give you some type of excuse. You're going to force it. Whether it's true or not, if you keep pushing, they're going to believe it. They'll believe it, and sooner or later, they'll have you believe in it. So if something is not done, you basically just go through this process. And then you ask yourself, and you ask them, is there something that we need to adjust? Maybe the workload, maybe the time, whatever it is. Of course, they're going to tell you the reason that they didn't, but going forward, what is it that we have to do to get on track? Now, the reason it's not done, that really doesn't matter. They can give you an excuse if you want, and they will if you ask for it. They'll give you one. But the most important thing is to keep that ball rolling And that's just to ask them, is there anything that we need to adjust? Is there any changes that we need to make? Are you okay with keeping everything the way it is right now for next week? Or whenever the next meeting is? And you let them answer that. What that's doing is letting them know that you're watching. There is a standard that we're going to abide by, and that standard was set. Okay? All right, moving right along. Here's the process. So now we're sitting down with them. Okay, we've got the why out the way. Going forward, we know the time commitment, and we've already set the expectation. This guy's gung-ho, so he's going to speak in 2 weeks. Okay, great, fantastic. We're sitting down here, and the very first thing I want to do is make sure they took that assessment. Very first thing. If he did not take that assessment for whatever reason, stop. Stop. And I'm sorry. I just want to see who is still awake. Have them take that assessment right then and there. It doesn't take long because we're going to need that further along. Have them take that assessment. As soon as you see that assessment is not done, have them take that assessment. Don't go any further. But this guy's already done it. He's already taken the assessment. Okay, so let's take a look at the homework. Let's take a look at our progress. So if you go to my transcript, there's a total of 32 videos in the tutorial system that basically explains everything. Okay, let's take a look at the progress. Let's see how far we've gotten. And it'll show you all of the videos that they've actually watched. Okay, you want to do that. One thing that I like to do is when you do take the assessment, it gives you the first 2 free, and then the next 3 are electives, right? Remember the member achievement record and the legacy program. It's like, what, 5 pages back and front that has all of the manuals on it? And when you sit down with that new member and you find out what it is they want, you say, oh, this would be a good manual. You're supposed to. This is a good manual for you. This is a good manual for you. So you basically lay out a path. You lay out a roadmap for this Toastmasters program based on what it is that they want to achieve.